Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is the Super Jew. This is my top 3 Total War games that I think everybody just getting into Total War should play. And even if you're not getting into it, if you're just a Total War fan or an RTS fan, then these are the games that you should play, the Total War games that you should play. So I'm just going to start it off right here. I'm sure you can guess what the first one is going to be. Number 3 is, of course, Medieval 2 Total War. Now, I'm not talking about the graphics, because as you can see from this, the graphics for this game aren't all that, okay? But it's more the fun factor and the simplicity of this game. You know, I don't want you to think that this video is going to be, oh wait, what, are you bashing the graphics now and whatnot? Because that's not what this video is supposed to be. This is just my top 3 opinions. Opinions is the key word that I think, like, every Total War player, these are the top 3 Total Wars that they should play, or RTS lover, or pretty much any PC. Like, pretty much I'm saying you should definitely play these 3 Total War games. You should, okay? They're just so much fun. So, Medieval 2 Total War. Where do I begin? It was the first one that I bought. I know you're probably thinking, you know, you're not like a veteran player or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I played Rome 2 back in the day, but I didn't own it. I usually played it with friends and whatnot. And then finally, when I was old enough and had my own software and rigs, then I finally got a Total War. And Medieval 2 just holds a special place in my heart, and I feel like in a lot of other Total War fans' hearts, because it's a cool time period. It's so simple. The campaign map is very contained, and yet it's still so detailed enough. It's got all the main cities, and of course I'm talking about the vanilla games for these 3 Total Wars. I'll mention the mods and whatnot, but that's a couple minutes from now. Anyway, it's just simple, you know. The diplomacy, it's like a fun factor, you know. And might I mention, the diplomacy for every Total War game is kind of foobar, you know. It's not great. I mean, there's some that are a bit better than others, and then there's some that just aren't that good. But you know what? That's a video for another time. I'll just get into that later. But I mean, like, the battles in Medieval 2 Total War are just so much fun. I mean, the main, if you're new, the Total War battles is there's custom battle, and you pick your faction, and you pick their units from that faction, and you just pick a map, and then there's a couple other settings you can mess around with, but then it spawns you in a map, and you just duke it out. You just fight. It's so awesome. And now I know the other 2 Total Wars on this list have the same thing, but Medieval 2's is just, it's just so great, you know. It's just so much fun. And additionally, the engine was different, especially from the other 2 games that I'm going to mention. I think in a way it was a simpler engine, at least from my understanding. I believe so, because in a way you could have 5 different guys bashing up on one. It wasn't like the 1v1 like in the newer Total Wars. It was like you could have 5 different knights, you know, or like 5 peasants, that's a better example, trying to kill a knight, and the knight could kill every single one. You know, in a way it was like much more, in a way it was a lot more kind of rock, paper, scissors, shoot, but at the same time, you know, I don't know, at the same time it was like you needed, you know, to have your good units could still, if you were outnumbered, you could just have a few good units. They could beat out an army that is much bigger than you. You know, in the newer ones, it's not always the same like that, you know, but in Medieval 2, it's just so much fun. I mean, like, look at the weapons in there. That is just so freaking awesome. Like, I think it's called like a monster bombard. But it's just stuff like that just makes this game so fun. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this, like I said before, this game's fun factor is like through the roof. I mean, and don't get me wrong, the other 2 games are super fun, and you know, but they're also different. And this fun fact, you can just tell that Creative Assembly had so much fun making this game, and they just did so much with it. Like, you can go to the New World, you know, how freaking cool is that? That's just so cool. You know, I didn't find that out until like 2 years after I had the game. It's just like new things you find still in this game, and it's just so much fun. I think the other thing too, since this takes place during the medieval era, I think definitely the siege battles were really a huge draw-in for me. Now, I can admit I was not a fan of the siege battle. Like I'm a fan of the siege battles, okay? I like the siege battles. They're fun. You've got ladders. You've got huge siege towers. But another Total War on this list has essentially the same thing. My biggest problem with the siege battles in this game, Medieval 2 specifically, is just the path like look. Yeah, the pathfinding is just kind of bad, you know. But look, I digress. You know, it's fine. Like, but it's still fun. The point is, it's awesome because, you know, if you're a Total War, you know, fan, and you know, and you build a citadel, you know, a citadel, those huge castles, you know, there can be some serious fun had there because they're freaking huge. Like, they're just awesome. You don't see castles like that are that big in any other Total War games. You just don't. There's one other entry on this list that I actually dislike the siege battles even more in a way. Yeah, in a way, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But anyway, yeah. So, but my point is the siege battles. Yeah, that's my only gripe with them is that the pathfinding can be kind of bad. But overall, I mean, they're just so much fun. The siege battles are just they're just so awesome. Like, you've just got men climbing up on walls, like on left, like through ladders and through siege towers, and just you've got your catapults, and if you're far enough in time, you've got your cannons. You know, there's it's just so awesome. You know, like there's nothing. Besides, like, I'm forgetting about pathfinding for a second. There's like nothing wrong with them, and I think that's really what draws in a lot of Total War fans, is the siege battles. So that's why Medieval 2 Total War is number 3 on my list. You definitely have to check that one out, okay? Just be sure to get it, okay? I'll leave a link to these down below on Steam in the description, by the way. So on to my number 2 pick. Ha! Just kidding. Did you really think I would not talk about the mods for Medieval 2? Are you kidding me? Now, this is probably one of the biggest reasons I can admit to play Medieval 2 Total War besides the vanilla game is the mods. I mean, they're just so much fun. I don't think anybody who has played a Total War game has either not played Medieval 2 and if they have then I can tell you they definitely have played the mods, because you just can't play Medieval 2 or any Total War for that matter without playing the mods for Medieval 2. They're just so much fun. This, if you were wondering, is the Third Age, of course, Lord of the Rings, but there is Elder Scrolls, there is Warhammer, there is freaking Game of Thrones, and campaigns, mind you. So just be sure that you pick up Medieval 2 Total War, okay? You just have to play it, and most of them, as far as I know, are all multiplayer supported. So yeah, get Medieval 2 Total War. In fact, stop this video right now and just go get it. Okay, but no, really, on to number 2 now. Okay, my number 2 pick for if you love Total War, or if you're just a gamer, you gotta play this Total War is Napoleon Total War. Not Empire, Napoleon. Okay, it is Napoleon Total War. So, how should I start off Napoleon? So, Napoleon Total War, there's a bunch of reasons why I love it. Probably one of the biggest reasons I love it, though, is diplomacy. Diplomacy in Napoleon, I think, really, really works. I've seen it work. I've seen it work a lot better than Medieval 2, and I can tell you sure that it worked a lot better for me anyway than the number 1 pick. At least it worked it worked a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, I really like diplomacy for Napoleon because there were times when I'd be playing as England. Like, for example, I was playing as England one time, and I was allies with Denmark, and I was invading France, right? And I had captured Paris. Now, Napoleon sent a lot of his armies up to me to take back Paris, because why wouldn't he? And as it was being besieged, Denmark sent an army up to help me out. Now, that is so cool. I don't think ever in a Medieval 2 Total War game have I either been attacking someone or been being attacked and an ally has come over to help me, even if they're super, super close. Like, they're one turn away. All they have to do is come over and help. I just don't think that has ever happened there. But for Napoleon, it happens all the time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the AI is just super smart in that sense, like the campaign AI. Also, the technology is really, really, really cool. I mean, there's tons of technology. Each Total War game has specific technology that fits that Total War game. So I just think that Napoleon's is honestly really ingenious, or I guess I should say genius, just because it really works. Like you can unlock square formation or fire and move forward or fire by file. It just all works. It just is so cool. And I mean the battles themselves are just so awesome. I know that for a lot of people, Empire, Napoleon, and even Fall of the Samurai, pretty much anything where you use guns, it really honestly is like a turnoff to some people. I personally think it's awesome just because it's so different than the bows and arrows and the swords and the melee combat. But first of all, I think Napoleon's AI is really, really good. They're just really good. It's really difficult. The enemy AI is smart. I mean, as AI goes, especially in Total War games, it's just really good. Especially since you're dealing with mass cannon fire, not like you are necessarily in Medieval 2 when like, you could get 3 cannon units in Napoleon and you'd have 12 cannons. That's a lot of cannons, whereas in Medieval 2 you'd have like, I don't know, 3 or 6 maybe at the most, if you get would get 3. There's just a lot more because of course cannons were more prevalent at the time. And so additionally, I think the battlefields like Medieval 2 are just really, really big. You'll have massive battles on a huge scale in Napoleon. I mean, the maps are just, they're just huge. They're ginormous. I know that's not a word, but I mean it's true. They're huge. And but additionally, this like I was saying before, the gun factor just really, really works. Like when you spray a volley, let's say fire by file, or fire by rank. That's even better. Into like the enemy, it just looks so cool. And if your particle effects, like if you have a good enough computer that can bump up the particle effects, that smoke can just get everywhere, so you won't be able to see crap. It's just so awesome. I just really like Napoleon. I wasn't into it at first, I can admit, because a lot of people don't like it because it's just Europe. But I mean, it's one of those things where you know what you're getting when you get it. It's Napoleon, Total War. That means it's just going to focus on the Napoleonic era. So it's something to keep in mind when you get it, but I don't think that should dissuade anyone from getting this game. I just think that people should keep that in mind. I mean, it's a great game. This game is awesome. Like the effects, the effects from blasts and cannon blasts and from when stuff hits the ground, like scarring. It's just all really good. And I mean, this is going to be really minuscule, but something I love, I mean, this is actually going to be pretty bad. But like when someone gets hit by a bullet, the effects they do. Like, look at those effects. It's just so freaking awesome. It's just so cool. Now, the one thing I can admit about this game, which, oh my god, is Empire even worse? But I'm going to stay away from mentioning Empire because that's not what this video is about, is just these siege battles are so bad. They're better than they are Empire, and in a way, they're fun in the sense that they're star forts, right? So you can literally essentially, you can go up the wall with grappling hooks, or with grapples and whatnot. But if you get you can blow a hole into the wall, and you can just put your cannons right in front of the wall and blast canister shot. And they will just, it's like it's really difficult to win a siege battle because they're just so difficult. And now I get they're so easy to defend for the defenders. Now, the thing is, I don't really know what else Creative Assembly could have done because siege battles weren't exactly like a huge thing at this time, at least not in the same way that the medieval era would have been, for example. But I don't know. It's because it's just so, what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess I should say is tedious. They're just like tedious in the way, because I mean, it's like the same thing over and over again. You get in the Star Fort, and don't even get me started on the AI, okay? Because the AI can be really bad. They'll get up on the fort. It's just really slow. It's tedious because it's really slow. They're not like fast paced, especially not like the newer Total Wars, like Rome 2 or Attila, right? Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not something that I'm really too fond of. I like the land battles like what you're seeing here, just way more. They're just so much fun. They're huge, like they're on a massive scale, and they're just really cool. You just feel, you also just care about your men. You're just like, okay, I want them to win this battle, and I want them to get back home to Paris or London or wherever they're from. I don't know, it's cool. I feel the same way about my troops in Medieval 2, but now I'm getting off track. So anyway, there's one last factor I want to mention about Napoleon, which is why I think everybody should play this game. And that is, of course, the sea battles. Now, oh my gosh, the sea battles in Napoleon, and I can even admit for Empire, but I really got to stop bringing up Empire. But that game, I'll talk about Empire in a separate video. The sea battles in Napoleon are just so much fun. I mean, oh my gosh, they are beautiful. Beautiful. Like, if you have your graphics, now, like I said, graphics, they're not a reflection of anything, but I mean, literally, they literally are a reflection, but they are not a reflection of the game itself. But my point is if you have a good enough computer that can run the graphics of Napoleon at like the highest level, these are just beautiful. They're beautiful anyway for the destruction that they show, because these battles are just so awesome. Like, look at how many cannons are going off. Like, so many cannons, and like the ships, like the damage that shows to ships. Like, look at that, the one ship just volleyed, okay? Now, if you just volley all at the same time, there is just a massive blast. Like, you can literally see the wood falling off of ships, okay, and going into the water. It is just so cool. I just find it really, really amazing that Creative Assembly pulled this off, the sea battles. It's just crazy. It just blows my mind. Literally, no pun intended. Like, I'm pretty sure right here, they're just going to blast it. Yeah, it's just crazy. And then it all falls in the water. It's so cool. I love the fact that these battles, that the sea battles are in Napoleon. And I really do hope that for future Total Wars, they add this in. Because first of all, in Medieval 2, there were none. Now, I kind of understand it. Like, there just might not have been as good technology as there was, at the time when this game came out. But in the newer games, they're there, in Rome and even in Shogun 2. But they just aren't. Maybe it's the ships themselves, because I'm just a fan of those kinds of ships. But I really do think they're just not as amazing. And now, yes, they're slow. They're very, very slow. But once you actually get into it, like these ships are now, France versus England, and you've got these massive 122 gun ships going at it, there's nothing cooler. Like, there really isn't. I mean, maybe there's like some things cooler, like defeating Rome in Rome 2. That's pretty cool. But in this game, it's just so freaking awesome. Like, oh my gosh. So definitely be sure to check out Napoleon Total War. You need to get this game if you want a really good Total War game that's really fun with Victorian era, and it's got really cool sea battles, and it's got guns. There's not that, there's no more swords or bows. If you've had if you've had enough of that and you want a bit of a change, then Napoleon Total War is where it's at. It is so much fun, and it even has a mod that it's probably the most well-known mod aside from the Darth mod series, but it's the Great War mod, and that of course changes it into World War I. So it's really, really cool. Definitely be sure you check that out. Okay, check out Napoleon Total War. Again, I'll have the Steam price down below in the description if you're interested in getting it. Be sure to check it out. Should have a winter sale up soon. Okay, so on to my number one pick. So this is what I believe every single Total War player and gamer should play, and that is Total War Rome 2. Oh boy, I'll bet you nobody expected me to say this game. So this game probably gets, I honestly think, because, I've been around for a little while. I've read a lot about the Total Wars. I've been on a lot of forums. I think that this one gets the most hate. Now, I did not get this game when it first released, back in, I think, 2013, I believe. I didn't get it, okay, but I've listened to plenty of videos and read plenty of stuff on it about how bad it was and how much of a failure pretty much when it released. So, but when I played it, I got it, of course, the Emperor Edition, and so I honestly think that today, if you like Total War or like RTS games, you have to play this game. It it kind of Rome 2 is it's like the really great it's like the child that like is really good at everything but that yet gets so much hate because it's so good at it. I know that might sound kind of dumb, but like I really think that's the case. It just is so much fun. And now even today as we speak, Creative Assembly like released DLC with the Empire Divided DLC. Like it's still made content for Rome 2 because as they said when they announced it, like people still play this Total War, and they're right. Like so many people still play Rome 2. Now sure, the mods for it aren't like overhaul say as like Medieval 2 or even the Great War mod for Napoleon. But they're overhauls in the sense that they change pretty much every dynamic, except for maybe the looks. Like, sure, units will be reskinned, but they change the game in such a way that it just makes it more fun and interesting in like a new way. Now, but I away from the mods for a second, Rome 2 itself is just a really fun game. Like you now have the power in politics with the new DLC. So, and then you also have a bunch of other DLCs with it that are super fun. Like it's really fun. It's just a really fun game. The campaign, I still do think like the diplomacy is not maybe as good as Napoleon. It's a little frustrating, but I have also had those times when I've had allies that I'm with in there, or if I have a non-aggression pact and a military alliance, or even a defensive alliance, they've come in and helped me out if I've been being besieged. You even have war coordinates where you can tell your ally where to attack, and it works. Okay, it works. I've done it. Sometimes it doesn't work, but a lot of the times it has worked for me. And I just think that's really cool. That's a really cool feature because I know that in the previous Total Wars it was like, okay, like you could have, it was like a feature that wasn't there. You couldn't tell your allies where to go, your AI allies where to go. But yeah, it's just a really fun mod. The only thing that sucks, which is super small, but I know it bugs a lot of people, is the whole family tree aspect of the game. I mean, to be honest though, if we're being completely 100% honest, the family tree, even in Medieval 2, it really didn't do anything. It was only there for like aesthetic. It wasn't really there for like anything cool. I mean, it was cool. It didn't do anything. It was just a cool visual feature. And some people like that. Like I like my family tree. If I could have it, I would have it. But I digress because the politics in Rome 2 are just really cool. And I get it how back then it was more, especially for Rome, we're talking about Rome, a lot of the times it was a republic, so when you're talking about people who are in charge and you have senators and statesmen, I actually think that's a really cool substitution besides the family tree. So something to keep in mind. It's just really cool. So I just, if you play like Medieval 2 or something like that, and you go into Rome 2, you're thinking that there's going to be a family tree, don't let that dissuade you from, enjoying the game. Another reason is there's tons of micromanaging. Now you might be like, whoa, okay, that's too much. But I honestly think compared to like Civ or Hearts of Iron, stuff like that, where it's very like tabletop view, I think that this is totally doable, and definitely it's very micromanagey, but it's also easy enough for somebody new to get used to because they have really good instructions and info bars to help you out, with what you need to know and whatnot. So it's like it's not too micromanagey where it's like, okay, this is annoying, but it's micromanaging enough to be like, okay, yes, I feel like I have an empire that I have to be careful about. I don't want there to be any rebellions or anything like that. Now onto the battles. So the battles in this game are so much fun. Now, yes, I mentioned this for Medieval 2. There are no longer any like, in here there's something with the engine with the newer Total Wars where it's like 1v1, like one unit will fight one unit, and then whoever wins that, or even if anybody does win that, sometimes they'll just back away and go and look towards somebody else and start fighting someone else. It kind of is a turnoff for a lot of people because for them that means like the action just isn't as good, and it's whatever, it's just how it is. It's a more it's a more complex and intuitive engine. There's really no other way around it, and it's what Creative Assembly did. So that's why I'm trying not to really like complain about it, because it is what it is, and in a way it actually makes it cooler, because it's like, okay, you finally have one person versus one person. Who's gonna win this one? And that I don't know. I'm sure there's like a something with the code that decides who's gonna win, but I'm trying not to get off task here. The point is, it's just really cool. Like having one person fight another person. And yeah, there's freaking dogs, okay? How freaking cool is that? There's war dogs, okay? That's just awesome. And apparently they're really good against cavalry. So keep that in mind if you get the game, or when you get the game. So yeah, the blood effects are really cool. It's just really awesome, all the formations, like especially with Rome. If you play Rome 2, and you get it first thing, first thing you want to do is play as Rome. Okay, Rome is just so cool, because now Rome suffers is kind of a bad word, but Rome is treated the same way like Napoleon is treated, and I mean actually like France is treated in Napoleon Total War, in the sense that if the game focuses on them, so like they have the most units, and but additionally, this isn't a bad thing, but additionally, like the unit abilities that they have, like going into like shield wall formation, which a bunch of units can do, but like they just have a ton of other abilities of Roman historical abilities that are just so cool. So like literally, this is gonna sound cheesy, but literally I'm pretty sure this is what a lot of Total War fans think about, is just the fact that like you can just recreate the stuff you see in the movie. Like you have the Praetorian Guard, you get them into shield wall formation, and then you just charge them into, or I guess charge is a bad word, but you kind of slowly march them into a huge mosh pit of barbarians or something like that. Or there are about to be enemy archers fired at you, and so you just put them into shield wall formation, or shields up, or attacking Tostudo. It just is so cool seeing them do that, and then seeing them try to survive while they get to their enemies. Now, sure, the battlefields aren't as big as Napoleon and Medieval 2. But, in a way, they're kind of more defined and detailed, I really think, honestly. Like, you're going to have a lot more close-knit fighting than you might have in those games, at least in Napoleon especially, since Napoleon's a lot more, shoulder to shoulder, muzzle to muzzle, whereas this, of course, is right up and close and in your face. You kind of have to eventually meet the army on the field if you want to win. But I just think that it's just a lot more fluid. The combat is, when it comes down to it, just a lot more fluid, especially more fluid than Medieval 2. Now, the siege battles in this game are honestly probably my favorite of any Total War. Like, I know a lot of people kind of give Medieval 2 that honor, but I really do think that Rome 2 has probably my most favorite siege battles. They're just so much fun. They kind of go on with the whole, like, how smooth and like just cool the combat is, because the pathfinding on the walls is at least good. Like, there can be some really cool battles on the walls, but like this right here is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Like, you have Rome in formation, and it is just so freaking cool. Additionally, now this might sound kind of weird, but it's just one of my little quirks with Total War. Like, when you are pounding a wall with catapults and whatnot, unlike you are with, well, you can do that of course with Medieval 2, but I'm saying I think it feels differently in Rome 2 than it does in Medieval 2. And I know what you think. You might be like, okay, well, yeah, it's better than it is in Medieval 2. Like Medieval 2, it just like it feels better, and like it's more powerful. Like your catapults and trebuchets are just more powerful. But I would have to disagree. I really think that in Rome 2, it just is cooler, Like, I think it's a more historically accurate. Like, if you actually watch a catapult, kind of like fire at a wall, and you kind of see it like slowly chip away at it. And I get it, this is improved graphics, pretty much like improved mechanics than Medieval 2, which is of course an older game. But still, it's something that's one of the reasons why I think this is number one on my list, because I think that this gives everyone the perfect rounded experience of a Total War. Like, if you play Total War, then, or you want to play Total War, or if you're a gamer, like, you should really just play this game. Like the archery, oh my gosh, is so much better than Medieval 2. Like, you actually feel like your arrows are hitting something, because like if you watch Medieval 2, you will see like the guys will get hit, and they'll just kind of stutter, but then they'll keep going. And I get it, like, you don't want like one arrow for every one person, but it kind of feels that way, for Rome too. It just does, and I kind of like it that way. Like, if somebody gets hit with an arrow, then they'll die, right? Like, one arrow, then they'll die. But that's the cool thing, because they can do the same thing that they do in Medieval 2. Like, you can be hit with multiple arrows, but yet they'll like use their shield as a defense, so that's just why I think it's so cool, because they implement the use of shields and whatnot. The shields aren't just there like they were in Medieval 2, and there were animations where you saw like the enemies using their shields as a shield, but it's just not the same. Like, in here you actually feel like, okay, like, you can see arrows hitting shields and getting stuck on them. Same thing for spears, it just feels like the shields have a purpose. It just feels like Rome 2, for Rome 2, like, there's just a lot cooler of, like, it feels like every single aspect of the game is being used really, really well, especially for combat's sake, At least that's what I think anyway, Like, you see these massive battles right here, and it's just so cool. Like, the sound is, of course, really, really good, So I just think that definitely Rome 2 is one of those must-buys where if you're interested in an RTS game, or like Total War, or like if you're just a gamer in general and you have a good PC, and you don't need a good PC, but it's generally considered that you have a good PC, because this game, if you can run it on the highest graphics, my gosh, you probably won't even play it. You'll just pit the two sides against each other and just watch them duke it out, because it's going to look freaking beautiful, which I know sounds bad, but it's just the truth. So those are really my 3 picks for the top 3 Total Wars that I think you should play. It's like, if you own Total War, or if you want to own Total War, or if you're a fan of RTS games, or if you're just a gamer, those are my top 3 picks for the Total Wars that you have to play, that you should play. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to subscribe to get updates on all the new content. I am planning to do a giveaway soon. This is the first time you're hearing about it, but I've had to think a lot about it. I kind of want to do something for you guys for the holidays, so I'm planning to do a giveaway. I won't do any details on it yet. I'm still thinking and whatnot, but it has been decided. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments, what are your top 3 Total War games, or what's your favorite Total War game? Did you agree with my list? Let me know what you thought about it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.